The old bridge, a bridge haunted by victims of deadly accidents. I was told about the bridge before I ever saw it. Every town has one, the place where stories gather like crows, where people lower their voices and change the subject as if words themselves are too heavy to carry across. For us, it was the bridge on the edge of the county road, the one built in another century by hands long gone, stone by stone, timber by timber, before anyone imagined what machines could do to flesh. They called it old even when it was new. They called it cursed once the accidents began. And they never stopped calling it haunted, because that word had earned the right to live there. It wasn't just one crash. That would have been misfortune, explained away by weather or drink or speed. It wasn't 2 or 3, because that would still have been statistics. No, it was dozens over decades, each with the same signature. Headlights glancing off stone, tires screaming against rails, the weight of a body or a bus or a truck tipping into the water that weeded below. People whispered that the bridge had a taste for it, that it had learned how to bend itself half an inch, just enough to change a wheel's allegiance, just enough to give the river another name to keep. When I was a child, my father drove us across it once, only once, and his hands tightened on the wheel as if the bridge wanted the car for itself. The stone parapets rose on either side like the edges of a coffin, and the road narrowed, pinched, the way nightmares do when you try to run. I remember the silence in the car, not just ours, but the silence of the bridge itself, as if it held its breath, as if it was deciding. When we reached the other side, my father exhaled with the relief of a man who had paid a toll without knowing the currency. We never took that road again, but stories do not leave us. They circle, patient as dogs, until the day we are alone and too curious to resist. Mine came years later, when I was grown and restless, when I had learned to mistake bravery for refusal. I told myself I would see it for what it was: stone, timber, water, nothing more. I told myself ghosts belonged to children. I told myself lies that sounded like courage. And on a night when the moon was too thin to offer advice, I walked the road until the trees parted and the bridge waited for me. It looked ordinary. That was the first betrayal. Moss grew on the stones where water misted the air. The iron rails were rusted but still strong, scarred where collisions had bent them but unbroken, like old bones that refused to yield. The boards of the walkway creaked beneath my boots, the sound sharp against the hush of the river. And yet, the longer I stood there, the more the air thickened, as if sound had weight, as if silence was not emptiness but pressure. I leaned on the rail, looking down at the dark water, and saw nothing but my own shadow stretched too thin. The first whisper came soft, almost kind, a name. Not mine, not anyone I knew, but spoken in a voice that knew me. It rose from the water, from the boards, from the stone, impossible to tell. Then another name, then another, a litany of strangers and neighbors alike. Some alive, some long dead, all carried on the same breathless tone. I told myself it was wind, but wind does not remember names. I walked across, counting steps, thinking numbers would save me. 1, 2, 3, steady, certain. At step 21, the boards beneath me shuddered as if something had landed on them, though nothing was there. At step 32, I heard footsteps behind me, heavier than mine, out of sync. At step 40, halfway across, the laughter began. Thin, broken laughter, the sound of throats that had filled with water and still tried to speak. It rose from beneath the bridge, from above it, from inside my own chest. I ran the last 20 steps, my breath ragged, and reached the far side. The laughter stopped, but the silence that followed was worse. I turned back and the bridge looked empty, innocent, as if I had imagined everything. But on the rail nearest me, scratched deep into the rust, were words I had never seen before. Don't look down. That warning became a promise I could not keep. I went back again and again, each time at night, each time with the hope that reason would reclaim the place, that the bridge would behave like stone and metal and nothing more. But each time it taught me something new. Some nights the whispers came in chorus, a dozen voices overlapping, begging for names to be remembered. Some nights the footsteps followed me all the way across, always one step behind, heavy enough to bow the boards, light enough to leave no mark. And once, just once, I saw them, the outlines of figures on the bridge, pale and blurred, faces waterlogged, eyes wide with the surprise of pain. They turned toward me not as strangers, but as though they had been waiting for me, specifically me, and my breath left me like a secret I hadn't meant to tell. The townsfolk still avoid it. They drive the long way, cross the new bypass built to spare them the old stone's appetite. But still, every few years, someone tries, the impatient, the proud, the ones who do not believe in curses. And still, the bridge keeps its tally. A car too fast on a wet night, a truck too heavy for the rails, a motorbike skidding where no skid should be. Always the same. Always added to the silence that grows thicker with each soul surrendered. I tell this now not because I want to, but because I have no choice. The bridge has learned my name. I hear it in the whisper of tires when I drive other roads, in the hush of rivers that are not the same river. At night, when I close my eyes, I feel the boards bend beneath my feet, though I am in my bed. I hear the laughter rise, thin and drowning, and I smell the rust of rails wet with blood. The bridge does not stay where it is. Once you cross it, it follows. If you ever find yourself on a road you do not remember taking, if the trees part too suddenly and the air grows heavy without reason, if you see stone parapets rising like the edges of a coffin and hear water below that does not move as water should, turn back. Do not set foot on the boards. Do not count the steps. Do not look down. Because the bridge does not forgive. It does not forget. It waits, always, for the next soul willing to listen, the next voice to add to its choir of drowned laughter, the next shadow to stretch too thin across its rails. And if you hear your name carried on the air, spoken in the voice of someone you loved, do not answer. Do not even breathe. The bridge already knows you. It always has.